It started before we got married, I guess, our fertility journey. We wanted to have kids young. We started trying before we got married, and we did get pregnant naturally after 9 months of trying, but it ended in miscarriage. And after another 6 months, I kind of just felt like something wasn't right. I was 22, young. We should be pregnant. So after 6 months of trying again on our own, we went and saw a fertility specialist in Mississauga. He kind of just did the basic tests, and my husband was diagnosed with a sperm morphology, which is basically just the sperm not being developed properly. So it had nothing to do with the way they swim or the mobility or the amount of sperm. It was the way they're formed. So we did IVF with ICSI, and our first round of in vitro, I didn't get many eggs. They weren't very good, but we got pregnant. Again, I miscarried. So he did more tests and checked my AMH levels, which is your ovarian reserve. And at 23, I was diagnosed with diminished ovarian reserve. I was told I had the eggs of a 38-year-old. So our second round of IVF, my eggs boosted about 45%. And we got, I think, 10 eggs the second time, where the first time we only had 3. Didn't work the second time. Third time, though, third time's a charm. We transferred a frozen embryo, and we got pregnant. It was a little touch and go in the beginning, but we have our miracle today. When you're finding out how much infertility treatments cost, they give you like a big form, and everything's kind of broken down. So if you're just doing basic IVF, it's this much, but if you need IVF with ICSI, it's this much. If you need IVF and you're gonna freeze with ICSI and you're gonna freeze your embryos because you have leftovers, it's this much, and it just kind of adds up over time.
We had to get a couple loans from the bank, and we were fortunate enough to have family help us out a little bit with that. So we were very fortunate in that regard. After our second IVF, fortunately we had embryos to freeze. If it hadn't worked after that, we really didn't know how we were going to afford to go through it a third time, like a full third time. After that, we were kind of dry in terms of money. We
spent a total of probably $24,000 throughout our treatment, because we did 2 IUIs, 2 rounds of full IVFs, and 1 frozen transfer. So,
on top of testing?
On top of, a lot of the testing isn't covered. There's a lot of testing that OHIP does not cover. We still owe about $6,000 for the debt that we have left from our first 3 rounds. But it's there, and it'll get paid off eventually.
We always knew we wanted to have not only a family, but a larger family. Unfortunately, that might not be in the cards for us, but it just I don't think it wasn't really an option for us to not have kids. So whatever it took, we were going to do it.
And before we even got married, we said, you know, as soon as we're going to have kids, as soon as possible. And it took a little longer, but she was worth every penny and every needle and every blood and everything. She was worth it. So, and we'd do it again.